Okay, so the motor is running. I've been now 6 days in Terceira, and what a fabulous place it is. I've met the other jesters who are the most wonderful company, all of the same mind, of course. The engine's running, as I say, and I'm just about to get cast off and make my way out to the Marina. Well, there is Terceira starting to diminish behind us as we head out north east in a nice fresh wind to the Atlantic. We've got 13 knots of apparent wind, and we're doing what, 5.5 knots through the water. That's very nice, really. It's a little bit bouncy, but it's all right. I just managed to find a nice cool cup of tea from this morning, so that's good. I must admit to having a little trepidation about this voyage. Going back to England by the slightly northern route tends to be more difficult, and I've been looking at Windy. First 3 days is fine, but after that it looks quite uncertain. There's a big high and a big low tussling with each other, and the plan, if those two materialise, is to try and find the little place between them where it's not going too mental. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that and make the most of this good weather. It's a lovely morning. Sunday evening, July the 6th, first day out from Terceira on the way home, and we're heading as near to north as possible, which is actually 40 degrees magnetic. I think the wind is going to back at some point and take us more northerly. What I'm trying to do is to avoid a nasty little low pressure system which is forecast to pop up on Wednesday with some very evil little winds attached to it, which I'd rather not play around in. So I'm trying to keep west of that, so going as hard on the north as I can. I want to keep west of 25 degrees west. At the moment we're 26 something. If we get close to 25 I shall tack, unless the weather faxes give me information not to worry about it so much. So yeah, it's been a really hot day, so hot honestly, but it's cooling off a bit, which is nice. Terceira is out of sight. Terceira is out of mobile range, and I'm on my own again, apart from the dolphins and the seabirds. It's Sunday the 7th of July, so just about 24 hours into the trip home, and we've done pretty well for these first 24 hours. The wind seems to become southwesterly, so we're making north, in fact a bit west of north, which is what we want to do, because I'm really keen to miss a nasty little low which is waiting a little further north, and it's going to develop on about Wednesday. So I'm trying to skirt around that to the west. Apart from that, it's really hot. Okay, so here's the chart for early Wednesday morning, and it's not very clear because it's been transmitted to me over shortwave radio from about several thousand miles away. But basically we have here we have the north of Spain. Over there this is the UK, and down here that is where the Azores are. So I am travelling north from there, and this is the little fella who's causing the problem. An evil little low, and so my plan is to try and keep as far to the west of it, over here somewhere if I can. So I'm working hard on that, and yeah, apart from that, God, it's really hot. It's 30 degrees and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. Crumbs. Of course, another interesting thing is that I was on the way out to the Azores. It was all on the starboard tack, in other words with the wind coming on to the right hand side of the boat. So I got very used to having the boat leaning that way, and now I'm on the port tack, which is the other way about. So everything is completely changed, and I'm finding it strangely different, and I hadn't realised how used I'd got to getting around the boat tipped to the left, and now I'm having to get used to navigating the place tipped to the right. I'm sure it'll come. Those wispy clouds over there are often the first sign of a low pressure system. Well, the wind's really picked up this afternoon. We've gone from 15 knots or whatever to 20, 25 apparent. So I put all the reefs in the main, which is unfortunately only 2, and rolled in at least half the Genoa, and still doing 5.5, 6 knots. If it goes on like this, I shall have to get rid of the Genoa altogether, I think. Definitely plenty of wind. Plenty of waves too, eh? And yeah, I did put away some more of the Genoa, and now we've got the speed down to a manageable 5 knots or so, and now we have rain. Proper bit of rain going on out there. So I'm just thinking back to when I mentioned those high cirrus clouds earlier, and the fact that that often meant a low coming, and I think what we've got here is a cold front, and still quite a lot of crashing of waves inside here. The sea's still quite big, so the cold front should mean there'll be a band of rain that will pass over at some point, and after that it should be a bit cooler, and I don't mind that at all. It's been far too warm for me recently, so yep, I'll step inside for a bit until it stops raining. Well, that was quite biblical, wasn't it? Visibility down to about 50 yards then, and the wind veered about 30 degrees, so instead of going northwest, we're now going north. I think it's easing off. It certainly looks a bit brighter. Let's hope the wind goes back to where it was before, because that was quite useful. But yep, still going. Might have a sandwich. Why not? Well, it's Monday, and I've got a terrible dilemma. Can't make up my mind what to do. Well, after much deliberation and rather reluctantly, I've decided that the sensible thing in the absence of any more data is to be safe and to go back to the Azores. So I've turned around and I'm headed to Horta at the moment. Who knows, when the next weather facts becomes available I might go, no, it's fine, and turn around again. It's just the sort of thing that I would do. So let's see. At least it's a really easy point of sail this way. Very comfortable. Phew, makes a change. Bit of a low point today. Not very particularly chuffed about battling 200 miles north and then finding out that it's not really on, having to turn around and go 200 miles back again. So that's a bit irritating. Then a massive lot of wind came up and I found I couldn't roll away the Genoa properly at all. Only a little bit of it would go away, and the rope had jammed in the furler. This often happens if you pull too hard. The rope gets pulled into its own coils, and so I had to put on a life jacket and get all togged up and go crawling up to the foredeck and get a screwdriver in there and prise all the ropes apart and faff around with the sea breaking over my neck until I have eventually got it freed. So now the boat is back under control. I don't know, we've got 25, 30 knots of wind on the beam. So I've just got a little tiny bit of the mainsail, well, mainsail as reefed as it can, no Genoa, and wait for things to calm down a little bit. I shall now go and change into something dry. This is well uncomfortable. It's been going on like this for 18 hours now. I have to keep the washboards in because if I take them out the water comes straight in the door. So how long can a boat withstand a pounding like this? Hopefully forever. Looks like I'm probably gonna find out. Right, I'm hove to. All that crushing and banging, going wind to windward with in these big seas was no good. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even sit up straight, let alone move around. So I've hove to for a little while, and so I've been able to use the low, do the washing up, get a bit of a tidy up. I've got a kettle on for a cup of tea, and suddenly it doesn't seem quite so bad. This is what you look like when you hove to. Basically it's you just tack the boat without releasing the jib sheet so that the jib's round the wrong way, and then you let the main sheet go slack, and then you try and steer back through the tack where you've just come, and the boat comes to a halt, near halt, and everything becomes much more comfortable. Pretty handy thing. I'll have to get it back underway at some point though. Everything has a life of its own at sea. It all moves around. Of course, a lot of it just likes to jump onto the floor and get in a terrible tangle with all the other stuff. This is my vegetable swing. Those veggies are having a great time. It's Tuesday and finally the seas are calm-ish and the wind is moderate-ish and it feels much better. The little island of Faial is just on the starboard bow, and the fantastic island of Pico with its huge volcano is on the port bow. And but with any luck I should get to Faial, to Horta, which is the main town on Faial and one of the biggest marinas in the Azores. I should get there by about lunchtime. So you might just be able to see Faial if we have a look over here. Here we are, and Horta is Pico's over the other side. Finally I'm anchored in the harbour at Horta, and it's a lovely day. I arrived yesterday and I've started sorting the place out. A lot of my cans for food for the voyage are in a cupboard underneath the floor at the back of the saloon. So they're basically they're in the bilge, and because of all the sea that was coming on board and the fact that my automatic bilge pump switch isn't working, from time to time the bilge got quite a bit of water in, and floating on the top of that water was a scum of horrible black oily gunk. So on looking in my lovely store cupboard, all my tins are rusty. All the labels have pretty much decomposed and fallen off, and everything coated in a layer of black slime. So yesterday afternoon my job was to sort that lot out, clean up the bilge and put it all back together. I didn't make a video of that because it was far too gross. So that was done yesterday. This morning I got my dinghy out, because obviously being anchored here I need to have some means of getting ashore, and I found that the outboard motor, which has been mounted up on the taffrail for the last 3 weeks, was taking a bit of an exception to all the thousands of gallons of seawater that had been thrown over it, and of course it wouldn't go. So I spent the morning dismantling that, putting it back together. There was water in the petrol, there was foreign matter in the petrol, there was dirty contact points. It's an old outboard with no electronics, which is in some ways pretty good, and generally it was not happy. So I've sorted all that out, and now it's working all right. After that, the cupboard under the cooker was full of nasty dark brown, well, it wasn't full, but it had several inches of nasty dark brown water in. So I've stripped all that out and I've tidied all that up. So now the place is starting to resemble a boat that's actually not too bad again. The next job is to get under this floor in the cockpit and have a look at the bilge pump, which is making nasty expensive noises, and see if I can get the automatic switch working. So lots of things to do, as well as looking at the weather and deciding when I'm going to have a second and hopefully this time successful attempt at going back to England. Quick look around the anchorage here. It's really rather nice. There we are. Note the super yacht over there. He hasn't asked me on board yet for gin and tonic. I don't know why. I better give them a nice wave. Ooh.